Opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
This is what happens when we have a system that is running so slow this morning because they had started up the TriCaster earlier to transfer files off, and the system tends to run slowly forever. Good morning and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ.
And I'm Carlos Caesar.
And Carlos is our guest host commentator for today's show because Chip is down the Cape fighting for the rights of the retirees and learning to be a retirement board representative.
And I have to say that I'm here today. It's always an honor to be here, but it seems like I'm living in the studio now with all the shows and all that. But I have to say this: I have no idea what's on CJ's agenda today to talk about. But whatever he wants to talk about, I'm here, and let's have an intelligent conversation.
We always do, Carlos. We always do. Just a little housekeeping thing. As you know, Carlos, you with Neighborhood News, Richard Urban with the Richard Urban Show, and Spindle City Straight Talk. These are three shows which kind of fall under the same umbrella for us. And we are now in a position where we must have new studio staff. Mm-hmm. And we're looking regularly for studio staff. So if you're interested in learning something about video production, getting involved in the TV side and editing, running the cameras, running the board, come over here and pay us a visit. We're always looking for good, stable volunteers to learn a new skill and to have a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And Carlos, you have to admit, this can be fun.
Yes, it's fun sometimes. I mean, on my show, we only on, and your show, we only here for half an hour, but we have probably an hour show between before and after the show.
Definitely. So let's get right to it. The budget was released this week, and it was not released to fanfare, that's for sure.
Yes, I didn't have a chance yet to look through because I've been very busy. But I'm just been hearing out there what it's out there, and I have to say, you know, 8 people out of 10 are thinking about going private, and so they don't have to deal with this $10 fee. So really, again, we are into a situation that the same thing that happened during the Flanagan administration, when they approve a budget and they were counting with the money from the purple bags. I think we are going into the same situation when this administration are counting with the $10 fee into the budget. And I think this is gonna, I don't know how this is gonna change the numbers by the end of the year or by half of the year, but what's your opinion, CJ?
Well, you know, Carlos, a couple of things came out of this budget meeting, and I started looking over the numbers myself. Again, this is fantasy, okay? Mm-hmm. I haven't looked through the entire thing. I know that Chip is going to be adequately tearing it apart over the next couple of days when he gets back into the city. But they're basing this $10 fee for the Sanitation Enterprise Fund. It's supposed to fund sanitation. That will, in essence, remove the money that we pay to the sanitation department from the city side of budget. That's what an enterprise fund is supposed to be. Therefore, the $10 fee is to generate $3.7 million. The city says, or Kathy Ann Favera says, that they're equating that at 30,000 people. Well, based upon that, the numbers are wrong. It's actually 31,000 people that generate $3.7 million, or 31,000 residences. Now, if 10% of those residences fall away, and I talked about this on a previous show, that's a substantial amount of money. That's $370,000. If 20%, okay, drop away, you're looking at even more. So how can they base a budget on something, number one, they don't have yet, and number two, that if it falls apart, what are they going to do? I know for a fact that local haulers, local waste haulers, are already inundated with phone calls. I've checked with them. Prior to the show, I checked with them yesterday. They're being inundated with phone calls. My neighbors have been asking me for the phone number for my hauler, and the number to my hauler is right on my bin. And the people don't understand. If they opt out, that means you cannot use any city service for waste hauling. That means solid waste, recycling, yard waste, bulky items, any of it. And on the flip side of that, the private haulers are doing that. They're already offering that. And they're offering it at substantial savings than on the city side. Now, if you're a single-family home, and I believe, Carlos, you have a single-family home, it might be better for you to stay with the city handling your trash. But if you have multiple units, it adds up very fast. If you have three, and you look at Fall River, it's mainly 3 and 6 apartment complexes, buildings. That's $360 to $720 a year added to your property.
But I have to add this. I mean, probably it will be cheaper for me this year to keep it at the $10 fee. But I know that number is going to increase next year because of the people dropping off the city, leaving the city services. It's going to be a lot less people participating on that $10 fee. So that means that to maintain the cost, our fee or whatever is with the city next year, the fee is going to increase definitely because it's no other way.
Yeah, and Carlos, the thing is that they're basing it, and Kathy Ann said very clearly that they overestimated the budget for waste hauling, for waste management. This way, if people do drop off greater than the projections, they would still show a savings. But actually, there are some things that don't change, and those are the fixed costs, such as salaries, benefits, pensions. Those are fixed. So with those being fixed, if you lose 25 to 30% of your budget and you still have to make those payments, you still have to make them. And if the money's not there, it's not there. Now, the other caveat to this whole budget is the school committee, in the ultimate wisdom, passed a budget with the mayor's, quote unquote, apportioned rollout of money. And they all passed it, and I told a couple of the school committee members, you pass that budget, you're gonna take it in the face because it's illegal. You can't do it. Well, guess what they found out? We hit a roadblock in the school committee budget. We can't do what we said we're gonna do. They underfunded transportation by about $4 million. And DOR says you can't do that. If you know it's gonna cost 8, you got to budget for 8. Because the law says you must present and approve a balanced budget. You can't approve a budget and then say, oh, well, we'll make up the shortfall when the free cash is certified. We already went through that once, didn't we?
Yes.
And, we were lucky we were able to do that, but we can't. And this is where the fantasy comes in. How can a city administrator, a gentleman who is running the city, the mayor, okay, say, this is the best we can do? Because you know what? This isn't the best. Linda Pereira turned around and said on another media outlet that, wherever the fat is, show me where the fat is so we can cut the fat. I'll tell you where the fat is, okay? It's very simple. You don't lay off the people who do the work. You lay off the people who are above them, sitting around doing nothing, okay? When you have 3 managers for 2 people, you're overmanaged, okay? When you have departments that are all cutting down on the people who are performing the services, but they're increasing with managerial positions, then it's time that you start laying off, not at the bottom, but at the top, okay? When you cut and you cut at the bottom, the tree falls down.
And if you remember during our neighborhood meeting with the mayor, that I point out a couple of places that you could fund money, and his excuse was that he didn't have time to go that deep enough to try to fund that money and to try to do those cuts and cut that fat. But I'm hoping that if the budget's approved, I still have my questions about if the city council is going to approve this budget easy as last year's. Having the same kind of questions that they have last year, and those questions got some answers this year. So I don't know how they're gonna, but if they approve, if the city council approves this year's budget, I'm hoping that the mayor on day one is gonna start working on that budget and make those changes.
I agree, but you know, the problem is that we have a problem in Fall River, okay? And the problem is incestuous. We have more political hacks in jobs that do nothing, absolutely do nothing. And we need to not cut from the bottom. As I was saying before, when you cut from the bottom with a tree, it falls over and crashes and it's gone. You gotta prune the tree, okay? You gotta start at the top. You gotta start with the branches that are doing nothing off to the side. You prune the tree back, and guess what? The tree grows, and it grows better. All right? So, you know, Mr. Mayor, take that as a piece of advice. When you came into office, you told your transition team, worry about the numbers, don't worry about the personnel. The problem is the personnel are the numbers. And if you don't take care of the personnel problem, then you're not going to take care of the number problem. Okay? And you got to have a set to do it. You really do. And you have to have a set and say, look, I know this is hurting you, but you got to do it. In the past, you know, Chip Camara, when he was council president for the firefighters union, and you know, I'm sorry, but I have absolutely no admiration for any of the union leaders that were at this press conference, especially when the mayor turned around and said, oh, and these union leaders and these department heads are all here in support of this budget. That tells you who these people are actually supporting. They're supporting themselves. But back to what I was saying about Chip. When there was a potential for layoffs in the fire department, Chip did something that, you know, this union president probably doesn't have the gonads for, all right? And I already know the department doesn't have the gonads for it. But it had been mentioned by a city councilor at the Niagara Neighborhood Association meeting. Maybe what you can do to save firefighters is you have cut back the number of engines and pumps and teams out there. So that's less people to manage. So you don't have to lay anybody off. What you do is you start demotions. And you're not demoting them because they're bad people. You're demoting them so they can keep a job, okay? And that equates to savings on the payroll side of the fire department budget. Because remember, the fire department is 94% salaries and people. So you start demoting a little bit, and you roll it back a little bit, and all of a sudden you have more firefighters on the line, less management, money is saved. Now, I don't have the entire project. I'm not a firefighter. I don't know how that's done. But you know what? That's not a collective bargaining issue. Okay? That's just something that has to be addressed. And when Chip did it, no one got laid off. People were rolled back. And then as soon as the department was able to, those people all moved back to their ranks. All right? The problem is everyone in this city, including city workers, it's all about me. It's not about what's good for the city. It's all about me. And you know what? I have 5 years seniority. You've got 3. So when they lay them off, they're going to lay you off, and I still have my job. And again, those are some of the levers that move men. Okay? Money is one that's going to move a man every time. So don't say that people aren't working on solutions. The problem is the administration and the city council don't listen to our solutions. And, you know, Carlos, you had one of the best ones in the world at one of the hearings, okay? I can get the people together, and in 2 weeks we'll solve this problem. You're right, because those people take the politics out of the scenario, and they make it about the issue, not themselves. And that's what the important part is.
And it's true. And when you keep the best interests, the city as a best interest, and your neighbor and your neighborhoods, you can move mountains. You can do a lot if you leave the politics aside. And but talking about the cuts and who's going to, try where we're going to try to save money, I think everybody agrees that the school department is one of the departments that it's a lot of our money, and we all know that we have way too many administration seats. A lot of entire families. Yesterday I was told that 3 members of one family are working for the school department. And so when that happens, it's like we need to cut it. The thing is, how are we going to get there? We need the state tell us how much we're going to spend, but the state don't tell us how we're going to spend it. So that's the thing. We cannot make cuts there, but we can move people around. We can take some administrations and replace them, not fire them. But if you want to keep a job, if you want to stay being employed by the department, I need more teachers on the classroom. So you qualify to be in the classroom instead of being on this seat that you hold right now. You're going to have, your salary is going to be less. But if you want to stay employed with our city, here's the place that you're going to be. We need to put more teachers in classrooms. We need to take care of the kids. They've been on the front, it's for our kids. We're doing a great education. We're doing a great job educating our kids. They've been used for the money, but the money is not putting on their behalf. That's why I'm saying that we need to do more for the kids. And I have told this to the kids, to the mayor, and I have kids in school that say that we have some kids dropping pizza on the floor so they can have a fresh pizza and not even eating the leftovers from the day before. It's no need for that. In a country like this, that we send millions of dollars, billions of dollars to feed the kids outside our country, when we have our own kids dropping food so they can have good food. It makes no sense to me. And all the money that we give to the school department. And another thing that came up in one of the neighborhoods was $8 million for transportation. Makes no sense, and it's a lot of money to be saved there when we have parents that have a car that drive their kids into the corner so they can be picked up by the city transportation. That makes no sense. The school, it's 2 blocks down the road. Just instead of waiting here for the bus for 10 minutes and 5 minutes, you can drop your kid at school. And it's one less kid that's using the system of transportation. It is places that we can look and save money.
I agree. And the thing is that this is why the community, I'm not even putting a name on it anymore, because it's not just one person. It's the entire community. The entire community is saying we want a full forensic audit. And the mayor keeps standing on that forensic audit. That's criminal. That's criminal. Chip read the definition, Webster's definition of it recently. Mm-hmm. It means you use legal principles to do this audit. That's all. Okay? We're not saying that there's a criminal activity going on. Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. But we want to know where every dime is being spent. Why does nobody want to do that? Why? Because that would mean that somebody was responsible. And that's a problem for the city. Like with a lot of people, they don't like being told they were wrong or they did something wrong. Now, again, prior to this budget coming out, 6 of the city councilors were already on board with approving it, which means the budget was approved. And as soon as the fee was announced, because that's what the mayor's announcement actually was about, was all about that fee, okay? And that if he didn't get his fee, he was placed in a 1/12 budget situation, he would immediately have to lay off 31 police officers, 29 firefighters, okay? 34 or 35 DCM workers, and 34 or 35 City Hall workers, and 120 school teachers and personnel. Okay? You know what? Don't threaten the people of Fall River, and don't threaten the city council. We're tired of this last minute pressure to make things happen your way. And it's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable.
And, you know, I don't think this ever happened before, that a mayor sits down with the city councils and try to tell them, you know, about the budget, but cannot answer questions, cannot let them know what's going to be on that budget. So they went into that meeting, and they came out the same way they went in, with no answers. We don't know. It's like a big secret. I mean, Councilor Pelletier said right on WSAR, you know, I tried to get some answers from him, and he said, I cannot tell you. How can you not tell? I'm a city council. I'm going to have to decide, you know, and to vote on your favor to accept this, and you know the answer, and you don't want to tell me the answer?
Well, you know, and that's funny, because after the budget had already gone to print, your neighborhood meeting occurred, and he said at that meeting, if you remember correctly, the numbers are still in flux. We're still working on the numbers. How can your budget be at the printer and you're still working on the numbers?
And it's one thing that we need to do, definitely. I don't know how that can be done, if it's through the charter review, but we need more time to talk about budget. We cannot make a decision, and the city councils cannot make a decision in 1 week. We need to look. A lot of city councils, they have their jobs, they work, and they need time to look through that budget. In a week, it's impossible for them to look through that. So they're going to pretty much make a decision just being confident what the mayor is saying it's true, and it's on that document. So I mean, if I was sitting at the city council, no way, you know, I will approve something without going through every single number, you know, and so I don't know how that can be changed. I don't know if it's through a charter review, when a charter review it's going to be in process. So, but somehow we need to change dates and allow more people to, you know, to look through this budgets.
Well, that's what they do in the school committee. The school committee members had 1 day to look over the budget. 1 day. And then they had a vote on it. You know what? The city council, again, needs to grow a set, which we know none of them have it, okay, and change the ordinance. The ordinance currently says the budget must be in their hands on June 1st. You know what? Make it May 1st. Like it or not, it's May 1st. Do the same thing to the city, to the school committee. It's due May 1st. That way the school committee gets all through May, okay, to vote on that budget, to review it, to ask questions on it. Not 1 night. 1 night they have.
I understand that the city council has a tough job now, and for the past 2 or 3 years that the community really has been coming out and kind of not investigating, but more getting involved on the process, and they are really in a bad position. You know, if they go with the mayor, the people will say that they supporting the mayor. If they come to the people's side, the mayor will say that they're against him. But guess what? And I have said that this on last show or the show before. If I made promises and the people elected me, if I could not make those promises, I prefer to resign and tell the people, I'm sorry, I didn't make it because, and just tell them why you can do it. But guess what? I prefer to be on your side, on the people's side, on the side of the people that elected me for office, than sell myself into them.
Yeah, you know, and you know, we see this with this mayor all the time. Okay, that he doesn't answer questions. He puts Lou Pacheco, Lou, I would not live in this crap hole, Pacheco, and that's paraphrased, and Kathy Ann Viveris to answer the questions because the mayor doesn't have a grasp on the numbers. Okay, maybe he's not a guy who has the grasp on the numbers, but he can quote the statistics when he wants to. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, this is a mayor that's nowhere to be found. Okay? He didn't even show. I mean, this is how much faith the people of Fall River had in him. Okay? He was supposed to show up at senior night of Durfee High School and say a few words to the graduating seniors at their awards night where they receive scholarships, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
And guess what? No call, no show. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You told the people of Fall River who are just graduating, the next voters, that I don't care about you. Okay? So why should those kids, when they finish college, come back to Fall River when you told them, I don't care about you?
I think that I would say 60 to 80% of the mayor's problem right now is the fact that he's not with the people.
Right.
He's afraid to show up in front of people. He's afraid that people are going to ask him questions. He's afraid that people are not going to agree with him. And I mean, if he could have this part, it's a very easy part to do, is be between the people. He will have no problem passing this budget with the $10. If he have come out and do a good explanation and get people's opinion and get the people on this side and tell people why, educate people, why do we need to put this $10?
I agree with you.
So he will have no problem to have people helping him get this $10. But when you just do a press release and say, you're going to pay $10 from now on because the city needs this money, it's no way that people's gonna support it.
No,
because it's no difference between Flanagan come out and sell us or force the city to pay $2 a bag, and this administration come out and say you need to pay $10 from now on. I don't see no difference between the 2 points.
No, and as I said, the trash haulers right now are putting on a huge sales front. They're hitting every property owner. They're hitting every home. They're talking about putting together meetings where people can come and sign up for private trash hauling. This could eventually, or could possibly put the city in a position where they say, okay, we are no longer going to handle waste management. And maybe that is the whole point of behind this, but we never know. Yeah. Boy, the time goes by fast here, I'll tell you.
Oh, half an hour? That's all?
Yeah, we're just about done, and this is what happens. We never have enough time, and for you viewers who have been asking for more time or more shows, don't call us. Call the BCC FRC media office and speak to Keith and tell him, hey, we want more Spindle City Straight Talk. Because you know what? This is where you get the straight talk in the city of Fall River, and we're always available to take your tips.
And you never know from my side when I'm going to agree or disagree.
Yeah, you never know. And I forgot my bulletproof vest today, Carlos. So
you didn't need it today.
Yeah,
you were good today.
I wasn't sure if I was going to need it. Hey, thanks for watching Spindle City Straight Talk.
Thank you for the invitation, and it's always a pleasure to be here.
No, thank you, Carlos. And we will see you next week on Spindle City Straight. Not next week, Friday.
Friday?
Friday.
I'll be back in 2 days.
And you'll be back. Hey, great. See you Friday, people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.